Body language can tell you more than words, but it's not that simple. If you want to understand what people are saying with their body language, it's important to take 5 principles into consideration: context, clusters, congruency, consistency, culture. First, context. Don't just look at one movement or gesture and conclude that the person must be feeling this or that. Look at the place, the time, the relationships between the people present. For instance, Paul is shivering. Is it because he's cold or because he's in shock? Patricia touches Frank on the arm. What is the relationship between them? Depending on the relationship, the same gesture can mean different things. 2. Clusters. Often you will see a cluster of various movements or gesture. One gesture can mean something, but it can also mean not much. For instance, a manager comes into the meeting room, sits at the middle of the table, not at the top, takes off his jacket. It could mean he wants to keep the meeting informal, but it could mean nothing. If he then also leans forwards when someone else is speaking, is listening, nodding his head, it's clear he wants the meeting to be informal and an exchange of ideas and questions. 3. Congruency. Body language and words usually support one another. If the body language doesn't support what the person is saying, there is no congruency. You know something is not right. There is an inner conflict between what is thought or felt and what is said. For instance, Francine says, "I'm happy," but stands in the collapsed position or looks very sad while she's saying it, then there is no congruency. Then 4. Consistency. Look at the standard behavior of a person, the baseline. For instance, what does Janet do when she's relaxed, when she's in a normal situation? Observe her. Learn what her standard movements and gestures are. Then, when you see her do something differently, you can assume something is going on. She might, for instance, be stressed. And then 5. Culture. Our cultural background influences our body language. Some gestures can mean something completely different from one country to another. And it's not just about nationalities. You have subcultures like dancers, office workers, laborers, etc. For instance, thumbs up can mean it's okay, but for divers it means going up. A good exercise is to try and find out from the gestures of a person if you can guess his or her cultural background. So learn to observe. Don't interpret too quickly what you see, and learn to observe not just others but also yourself.